In the last part of the box fan build, I installed a fan on the roof of my van. Well, today we are coming down from the roof, going inside, and starting to work on a few things on the interior of the van. I'm finally at the point where I get to start building out the inside of the van, and that is so exciting. Thanks for tuning into another episode of the box fan build, and let's get to it. If you guys watched the video where I built the subfloor, you may remember that I never actually attached the final layer of subfloor, and that was because I wasn't sure if there was anything else I wanted to do first before permanently gluing that layer of subfloor down. I'm really glad I waited because in a recent video I went back and insulated the two wheel wells and also went through with some foil tape and kind of sealed off all of the seams of this middle insulated layer of subfloor. And now that we've got that done, I am feeling a lot better about the subfloor. We are finally to the point where I am going to actually permanently attach this. Like usual, it has gotten so messy in here. Who knew building a van would get so dirty? But before I actually install this top layer of subfloor, let's get some of this dirt out and get this area cleaned up. Alright guys, it is time to take our top layer of subfloor and get this installed. As far as attaching the subfloor goes, my plan was to use both construction adhesive and screws. And this was part of the reason I built a 1x3 frame on the layer with the insulation, is because those 1x3s gave me a great surface to drill and screw into. And the first step before we could get anything attached was to go through, mark out all of the screw locations, and start drilling some pilot holes. I decided to take my countersink drill bits to all of the pilot holes just so when we screw in the screws, they sit flush in this top layer of subfloor. That way when we apply our final layer of flooring, we won't have any weird bumps or screws sticking up. But we have a bunch of sawdust around here now, so I have got the vacuum and we're gonna get this thing cleaned up. Once we lift the layers of subfloor up, I plan to use this construction adhesive. This is Loctite PL. I've used this a bunch on the van build so far, had really good luck with it, so we're gonna stick with that. And we'll lay the construction adhesive down, then lay the subfloor on top of that and screw it all in place. My plan here was to do one section at a time, starting in the back and working my way towards the front. Like I said, I used the construction adhesive along with screws to attach the top layer of subfloor. I got a couple comments from people suggesting I use construction adhesive along with the screws, mainly to help prevent the floors from squeaking when you walk on them. So once I laid down a bunch of construction adhesive, I walked around on top of the subfloor, just pressing it into the construction adhesive and making sure it had good contact. Once everything was lined up and in place, I worked my way around and screwed the top layer of subfloor into the frame below. And again, that was the main reason I built that frame in the second layer of subfloor, or the layer with the insulation, was just to make sure I had a nice solid surface to screw into when attaching this top layer of subfloor. Alright, the farthest back layer of subfloor is down and it feels super solid. Now we're just going to continue working our way towards the front, starting with this middle piece. I was a little hesitant to use the construction adhesive because I knew if I ever needed to remove the subfloor, it would make removal a lot more challenging compared to just using screws. But I also had to remind myself that one of the goals with this van build is to do it right. And if I build it properly, replacing the subfloor would only be something I'd have to do many years into the future. At least that's the goal. So I used the Loctite, and honestly, I'm so glad I did. The floors feel super sturdy, they don't move around at all when you walk on them, and I think the construction adhesive deserves a lot of credit for that. Two out of 3 layers are installed, and we have got 1 left to go. Well, the subfloors are finally installed, and it feels so good to have that step taken care of. We're just letting the construction adhesive cure now, and then those floors should be pretty secure there. Now, one of the other things I've been wanting to do for a while is just sand down this Bondo from when I filled a bunch of holes on the side of the van. I've just been lazy, haven't gotten around to it yet, so we are going to do that tonight. Welcome back. Today I am excited because we get to do some woodworking. Yay! Woodworking is actually something I have found that I really enjoy, and we are going to be doing a little bit of that today. So you guys can see these wheel wells. I went ahead and insulated them in one of the last videos, and today we are just going to make some simple wooden boxes to cover these up. Let's get started today with some measurements. Alright, and we got our measurements. Let's go cut some wood. The first step to this project was cutting out all of the pieces of wood that would make up the boxes. Thankfully, I had a lot of leftover 1/2-inch Baltic birch from when I did that top layer of subfloor, and I was able to use up all of that to make these boxes. As simple as these boxes were to make, I also wanted them to look really nice. I kind of viewed this project as an opportunity to practice my woodworking, and because of that, really took my time here making sure all my measurements were precise and the boxes looked nice and clean. Alright, all of the pieces for these wooden boxes are cut now. My plan is to drill some pocket holes and use pocket hole screws to attach these boxes together, and then I'll probably use some construction adhesive as well just to make sure these are pretty solid. Using pocket hole screws has become one of my new favorite ways to join pieces of plywood together. Along with being a pretty strong form of joinery, pocket hole screws look nice and clean as well. I think the only real downside is that it does take a little bit extra time to go through and drill out all of those pocket holes, but once you have those ready to go, it makes the assembly process nice and easy. Snack break. Well, that was a lot of pocket hole drilling, but at the same time, I want these boxes to be pretty solid in case I'm ever mounting or attaching anything to them. Along with the pocket holes, I'm also going to be using some construction adhesive. Normally I use the Loctite construction adhesive, but this liquid nail stuff is all I had right now, so I feel like it should do the trick. And next I got started assembling the boxes. For some reason, I had the idea that I would kind of build the box and assemble it over the wheel well, but let me tell you guys, this was not the way to do it. I couldn't even attach all of the screws because the drill kind of ran into the subfloor, so I ended up having to pull the box off and kind of assemble it away from the wheel well anyways. First box is assembled and it fits perfectly. I have pocket holes along the bottom too so that we can actually bolt this box down into the subfloor as well. But before we do that, I'm going to go over and assemble the other side. And last step here, we are going to attach these boxes to the subfloor using, again, some liquid nails and pocket hole screws. Alright, well, the wheel well boxes are done on both sides. They're attached to the subfloor and they feel super solid. Overall, I am super stoked on how these came out. The combination of pocket hole screws and construction adhesive is just such a good way to go. Now we're gonna move on to sealing off this hole. The gas filler goes through the subfloor, and right now there is just a big opening straight down to the bottom of the van. So I got some gaps and cracks, and I think we're just gonna go crazy with that and just seal off this hole here. Here is the hole we are going to be filling, and I got this gaps and cracks. This is the big gap filler up to 3 inches, just because this is a bigger hole. I don't know exactly the best way to do this, but I think I might start from down below and then come up here and finish it off from the top. So let's give this a shot. It may not be the prettiest, but I think this insulation should do the trick for sealing off that hole there. I'm also going to build a little box just like we did for the wheel wells, just to go around this and kind of get it out of sight. The process for building this box around the gas fuel filler was the exact same. I started with taking a few measurements, then we cut out some wood and assembled the box. Just like with the wheel wells, I used construction adhesive and pocket hole screws to assemble the box together. Well, I guess I didn't realize quite how much this stuff expands. Oh my gosh though, it is like exploding out of here. It doesn't matter that much though, because now I have this box and we're gonna get this covered. I'm not gonna use any construction adhesive to attach it to the floor, just in case we ever need to remove this and get access to the fuel filler below. Well, with the subfloors installed and the boxes around the wheel wells and gas fuel filler complete, there was just one thing left to do, and unfortunately it wasn't that exciting. But while I still have this van opened up, I'm just trying to do everything I can to prevent water from finding its way inside. At this point in the build, I feel like we've gotten pretty close to resealing every part of the van, but if I'm going to be investing so much of my time and money into the build, I want to make sure the inside stays dry. Now, just like with all of the other resealing I've done on the van, I used Sikaflex 221. It's a little bit difficult to work with just because of how thick it is, but I've heard so many good things about it when it comes to sealing off vans, so the extra struggle to apply it makes it worth it. We have a few more little things to work on the van for this video here, and one of them is just coming back to this back wall and working on the corners. Since I did the rebuild on this back wall, the corners have just been an area that have been bothering me. Not for durability, not for weatherproofing, but just on appearance. They look super ugly right now, but thankfully I was able to find these corner caps here. I paid way too much for these, for what they are, for this cheap plastic, but I feel like it's going to make this back wall just look even better, and we're gonna start by getting these installed. So these caps will go on the end and kind of cover it there. The way this corner cap lines up, I'm hoping I might be able to reuse the same screw hole for the exterior trim piece. So we're gonna give that a shot, but for the bottom, the hole on the bracket doesn't quite line up, so I think we'll have to drill a new hole. Now, one last thing for today, and I know this video has just been a bunch of random things so far, but we had a massive rainstorm last week, and it was just a perfect opportunity to go out into the van and check for leaks. Well, it is the first hard rainstorm since I installed this Max Air fan on my box fan. Let's see if it leaks. Well, I'd say this is a pretty good first test based on how hard it is raining right now. We're gonna take a look around. Honestly, so far it looks pretty dry. That is a good sign. Thankfully, I can say that the fan was nice and dry, but I did, however, find a couple leaks coming down this back wall, which is honestly amazing to me because we have spent so much time sealing off this back wall, but I'd much rather learn about it now than later. So I'm gonna go up top and add some more sealant along the top edge there because I'm pretty sure that's where the leaks seem to be coming from. It's pretty hard to film, but I'll show you guys some clips of before and after. My plan is pretty much to use Sikaflex 221 and just add a ton of sealant up there, sealing off any screw holes, anything that might still be leaking. So that was a lot of random little things there, but I feel like we made a lot of good progress. And guys, it is just so exciting to finally be starting to build out the inside of the van. If you guys are enjoying the series, don't forget to like and subscribe. There is so much more to do with this van build and so many more videos coming soon. I'm currently just waiting for a ton of parts to show up, but over the next couple weeks, the van is going to be going through some pretty big changes and I cannot wait to share it with you guys. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one and I will catch you guys in the next one.